I'll introduce our next speaker for tonight. And she's Linda Ramrath. Linda has been a member of Toastmaster International for over 10 years. She has learned a lot about how to write and deliver a speech. This year, she learned how the international part of this organization can be a vital resource. So tonight, Linda will share 5 to 7 minute speech on how she found the new international meaning in her Toastmasters journey. For our Toastmasters, let's welcome Linda.
I've attended the mother of all TI conferences, albeit online, because of COVID-19. I thought that the only international part of Toastmasters was the meeting that happens, the conference in the summer, once a year. That's the only time Toastmasters from around the world get to really connect. I was wrong. This year in 2023, I jumped aboard the Odyssey Project. This is the brainchild of Adriana Vasilacci. She's from Finland. I'll tell you more about that in my next speech. It's an 18 to 22 minute PowerPoint presentation. But tonight, I only have 5 to 7 minutes. So let's get started. I jumped on this voyage and I went all the way to India and I met Asim. Asim is a social media marketer. He's as old as my children. He was my mentor and I was his mentee. I thought we were going to talk about comedy versus humor and how to put more humor in my speeches, but we landed on websites. I looked up his website and he looked up my website before we connected. Well, he suggested I put a video on my landing page and move my testimonials to the landing page also. He also told me specifically what kind of testimonials would enhance my credibility. Well, I would have never expected that from this first meeting, but I went right to work. I made a video myself with a tripod and a camera, and I was able to upload it onto my website. I also commented on his website. He said on his website, landing page about me, I'm 28 years old and I live in Paris. Well, he's not 28 anymore and he doesn't live in Paris. He's in India. So we learned a lot about each other and we informed each other how we could enhance our websites to be more accurate and perhaps get more business. Then I jumped on board again and I went to Finland. And in Finland, that's where I met Lisa. Now, Lisa was my mentee and I was the mentor. She had won her humorous speech contest in her club, her area, her division, and now she's going to district. Whew, that's a lot of pressure for me, but she sent me a video and I was able to watch it and I came up with some suggestions. We even had time in one of our first meetings for her to actually do her speech. At our next meeting, she applied some of the feedback that I had given her about some of the props and not talking when her back was to the camera, and to just walk around and then speak again. It was so effective, these little moves. Then Lisa asked me about area director role. Well, my eyes must have popped open because that is my most favorite position I've ever had in Toastmasters. I've not done it once. I did it twice. I did it in Massachusetts. I did it in Vermont and New Hampshire. I love that role. So I explained the role and all the reasons that I really love it. And I said to her, if you're enjoying competing, let's see how you make it through the district contest. If you don't succeed and you're devastated, maybe you need a year off, and area director is a wonderful job. If you love it, even if you fail at the district level, you might want to jump right on and write another speech and try again. Everyone is different. So let's just wait and see. The end of May, she has her district conference. So I'm hoping that she survives the contest and we'll see what happens. Then I hopped back on the ship and off I went to Florida, USA. And that's where I met my buddy, Francine. Mentor, mentee, we are kind of both to each other. Every time we try to help each other, we learn more about ourselves and we get inspired by each other. Now, she didn't win the district contest, which she really thought she was going to. She had imagined herself successful. I thought she'd be devastated. I was trying to think, what can I say? What can I do? And by the time we had reconnected a few hours after the competition, she had already pivoted. She taught me a lot about pivoting. Well, she said her speech is meant for another audience, and I'm so proud of her. The Odyssey Project puts mentors with mentees from around the world. It's like Mr. Miyagi and Karate Kid. Wax on, wax off. Breathe in, breathe out. Or have you seen the movie Hitch? It's Will Smith as Mr. Hutchins, and he is the mentor to Albert, played by Kevin James, who's looking for a wife. But Albert teaches Mr. Hutchins a lot more than Mr. Hutchins teaches Albert. The boat scene and the dance scene, oh, they're amazing. If you haven't seen the movie, you must. Mentors help mentees to succeed and give them the skills and support that they need. Networking, on the other hand, is a little bit different, but you can network with people around the world in the Odyssey Project. I was lucky enough to be connected with Adriana Vasilacci, the sea captain. She designed this project, and she likes to jump aboard and test out the waters and see how people's experiences are. Well, until next week, when I go through all the details about the Odyssey Project, I'd like you to think about the international part of Toastmasters International. And maybe you'd like to get connected with people around the world.
Thank you, Linda. You have brought a very different light, the international light, to our club. And I'm sure, just like me, there will be so many others who would want to know more about the Odyssey Project and how to get connected with others. So thank you for this speech. I think this was very inspirational. And now may I invite May to facilitate the evaluations.
Thank you, Jeff. Well, we're going to have double duties today because you have a small group of people. I apologize if I call you and you have another duty. Mr. Tyree, would you like to give us some feedback for Linda?
I really like the organization of this, and more importantly, that you did find moments to make sure that the audience was connecting with your humor and not just the message.
Thank you. Charlotte?
Thank you very much, May. Linda, that was a good speech. I enjoyed it quite a bit, but I would like to see a couple of changes. One is maybe tell us a little bit more about the Odyssey Project, which I know you're going to do in the future, but if you could tell us a little bit in a speech like this about how to get connected into a future Odyssey Project so that we could be thinking about whether or not we want to do it. And then when you give your next speech, we will be more interested than ever. Thank you very much for that great speech, Linda. Back to you, May.
Thank you, Charlotte. And Akim, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am. Linda, I agree
Okay.
with what everyone else is saying. I really enjoyed how you took us along your journey within it. It's something that I literally would love to do. But I'm going to echo what was just said about letting us know a little bit more about what it is. I had to draw my own conclusion. And when you're trying to influence people to follow you, you don't want them to necessarily draw their own conclusion. Tell them what you want them to know.
Thank you so much. How about Susan?
Yes, Linda, I'd like to congratulate you on your vocal variety. I was with you. You drew us in. You were so excited when you were talking about the area director role. Boy, we could feel you emoted exactly what you needed. I thought your pace was excellent, and you were throwing in a few little, I want to say, analogies, and they went by a little quickly for me to grasp all of them, but it sounded like the ocean flowing that I was waiting for from Tom about the ocean. I didn't hear anything about the ocean, so I was glad you brought that to the forefront. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Marjane. Thank you.
Yeah, great job, Linda. And I'm really looking forward to hearing the longer expanded version and more about how we can connect with this Odyssey project.
Thank you so much. I think we have enough time, right? Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster. Yay! Thank you, team.
Thank you, May. And now, one of the highlights of tonight's program is the educational segment, the educational headliner. E. Tyree Johnson, who is the past district governor and DTM, is going to give us this section. He has been paying Toastmasters. He's been paying Toastmasters dues since 2001, which he considers money well spent. Currently, he starts his week promptly at 7 a.m. Monday mornings with esteemed Oakland 88 Toastmasters. He's also the president of Toastmasters Leadership Club and VP Education of Laugh Lovers Toastmasters. You are invited to join him at one or all the three clubs in District 57, Pacific Standard Time. Tyree is twice DTM. Is the twice DTM, a past District 57 governor in 2007 to 2008, and the recipient of multiple Toastmasters Award for his service, including District 57, 2015 Toastmaster of the Year, and 2017 Toastmaster International President Citation. Tyree admires the words of William Shakespeare, who said, "Laughing at your own mistakes can lengthen your life." However, he finds wisdom in the words, "Laughing at your wife's mistakes can shorten your life." This is by Shakespeare's wife. Please welcome your humor contributor, Tyree Johnson, as he presents the humerator role and why you should butter it up.
All right. Okay, let's get off to a good start and get this on the right roll. And I want to thank Sue for being the master behind the scenes and making this theme appropriate for all of you. The Laugh Lovers Humerator role, which I believe you call your detector role, but it's a role. So why should you butter it up? It should be something that in this meeting in particular should be of utmost importance so that you can find your funny. Next slide. So the question is, what are you doing here? And I think I asked some of you that before, but I'm going to answer that for you. As members and interested guests of this club, Find Your Funny, you're doing your best to adhere to the Toastmasters promise. That is to prepare all your projects to the best of your ability based on the Toastmasters education program. It is to prepare for and fulfill all your meeting assignments. And it is to provide your fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations. But the missing ingredient is, at each one of these phrases should be to find humor, to use humor. So in all of your projects, use humor, find it, integrate it, use it to connect with your members. For all your assignments, whether you're the timer, you're the grammarian, you're an evaluator, this is an opportunity for you to use humor, to find it, to help your fellow members to have better speeches, better presentations with humor. So for some of you analytical types, when you hear this question, I want to make sure that I'm answering it appropriately. So first, I could say, why are you here? Next, I could just say, why are you here? To make it personal, and is, why are you here? And then it's just a matter of timeliness. Why are you here? So when you ask these questions, the basic response is, I don't know. The real response from me is, I don't care. Honestly, I do care. I care because I want to see each one of you thrive beyond compare and use humor to get there. Part of my motivation comes from having the distinction to have the longest paying dues member in my club, Laugh Lovers. Now, I hope that someone will supersede me, and at this club, with Find Your Funny, I hope there are people who will be here eons to come. And if not, it may be on your tombstone. And I just want to say, next slide, please, that for some of you, unfortunately, you may remain humorless until your dying day. And to that end, I can only say, I'll try a little better for your eulogy. You can put it on your tombstone to say, yes, it may be your diploma, but only if you get a decent evaluator for your next Toastmaster meeting. Next slide, please. Mark Twain said, laughter is the greatest weapon we have, and as humans, we can use it the least. He also said that humor is tragedy plus time. It is mankind's greatest blessing. And I would impart upon all of you that it is one of the great connectors in any of your speeches. So humor is truly an elixir. And I share that from a strong Toastmaster that I know here in the Bay Area. He spoke it at this club too, Ray Egan, who says that it is something that we can use the 4 C's. I want to give him credit for it because I can't afford his royalties. But he says you find humor in your content, in the characters, and that is in all the objects, both animate and inanimate. Your content is in your personal stories. In your communication, that is your voice, pitch, tone, rate, and your connection. And that is where I want to make the emphasis for today's presentation on the humoriator role. Acknowledging your audience by checking in with a lot of the various types of humor techniques that I'm going to go through, using callbacks and referring to these other 3 C's of the elixir of humor. Again, referring to your stories in a personal way, having objects that can be humorous, or at least you can throw your message onto them and have them reflect back to the audience. And always use your voice and gestures, even in this virtual environment. Next slide. So are you fearful of finding your funny? Well, self-confidence is the key. And as you can see from my image here, this guy has all the confidence in the world. He's off the charts. I wouldn't say that you need to go there, but you can make that first step by using the tools that I want to present to you in the Humerator role. Next slide. Now, I'll start by showing you where some people just get off in the wrong foot, and that is when they look at who's presenting, they already make a first impression. So I want you to look at the gentleman on the left. He seems to be holding the world afloat in his left hand. His name is Randy Ellington, and he's a past district director here in 57. Very good Toastmaster friend of mine, although I would qualify good because nothing, and I mean nothing, irritates Randy more than being called by my name. I get a chuckle out of it if anyone addresses Randy as Tyree, and I get even more laughs when the waitress gives him the bar tab, but that's another story. But what I want to say next slide, please, is that I have to ponder that statement that if people are trying to connect whoever they see, I really want to be sure